Former AJ Przinsky teammate Chris
Fuck
Sale
him.
joining us right now. Go ahead. This is all you.
Fuck him. Dude, he's fucking big time now, dude. He gets no deferred money. I have been asking him for 2 fucking years to come on the show. Used to meet him in the backfields at Fort Misery. He's broke as a joke. Can't throw the ball from me to Scott. He's like, ugh, my left arm hurts. Oh, yeah, I'd love to come on. And I text him all the time, when are you coming on? Crickets. Fucking crickets. Got to go through his agent.
I'd like to comment on everything else is true. I'm a bum. I'm useless. But the last part, I think you left me on red, so I'll leave it there.
Well, yeah, because we already had you locked in through your agent, so I didn't need to bother you again.
He's looking it up.
I mean, I can look it up, but I didn't answer because we already had him locked in.
Right. I got like 9,000 screen things going on, so.
I mean, when you're that rich, you can get another.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Best intro you've ever gotten to an interview.
Hey, when you're that rich, you can buy an extra phone or iPad or something. You don't need to have them all on one screen. Like I mean, I'm poor and I got 2 of them.
Poor.
This was by far my favorite introduction to any show ever.
So compare this, Chris. Compare this to your introduction to the Braves. Do they call you and say, "Hey, welcome. We're glad to have you. Let's get rid of that deferred money and get you signed up for a longer term deal"?
Yeah, that was kind of how it went down. Honestly, everything went. Even the trade kind of happened all quick, really, really fast. I was sitting in my house, not really expecting a whole lot, just going through some off-season stuff, and then get a call about wanting to get traded. Get that kind of figured out, and then the next couple of days later, like, hey, what do you think about this? And it was all exciting. So, appreciative of it and excited to get going.
So they said, thinking about wanting to get traded? Like, did they come to you and say, hey, would you want to be traded? Or were they like, hey, we want to trade you?
So I got the call from Brez. I forget exactly what day, but was like, hey, we have something lined up. I obviously had, power of the 10-5 rule, to be able to veto the trade or whatever. Just talking with some people and, thinking some things over. It just kind of worked out best for not only myself, but I think the Red Sox too. So that was kind of the first of it. Was
your first question when Brez called you, is the team within a radius I can drive to for spring training? Because you've had your whole life, you lived down Southwest Florida. Now you had Fort Myers forever after being in Arizona. The Braves are just a little bit above Fort Myers, so you can still make that drive every day. Was that the first thing where Brez was like, hey, we got this trade for you to Oakland, but they spring train in Phoenix? You're like, nope, too far. I'm not going.
Yeah, so obviously, being in a position where you can kind of make that decision, those are all things that factor in. I don't think I'm going to be playing for another, 6 or 7 years anyways. So the pool kind of gets a little bit smaller when, I'm married, got 3 kids. I got a home down here in Southwest Florida. So it was important to stay close to home for spring training, and just being closer to home in Atlanta helps as well. So that definitely helped the decision-making process a little bit smoother and quicker.
Watching the Braves from afar, how juiced are you to be? I mean, essentially, I think there's 4 top teams in the league, and then it's everybody else. How juiced are you to be on one of the top 2 best teams, top 2 best lineup, in my opinion? I guess the Dodgers keep getting better, but you've beaten them already, so that's small potatoes for you.
That again, when you talk about the process of being traded and having power to accept or deny or whatever it is, first I'd like to say leaving Boston was not easy. The people I've met, the relationships I've made, even just the city. Like we love being where we got a house just outside of the city. We really enjoy being there. So it wasn't easy to make this decision. So then you start looking at, you think of you got pros and cons, right? Well, Atlanta's a great city. It's closer to where I live. And then you start looking at the team, and that team is, when the postseason started last year, that was the team I thought was going to win the World Series. I mean, the dominance they showed throughout the regular season, Again, you go up and down that lineup, and that's as good. You put that lineup up against anybody. And then, you look at our pitching staff, the bullpen, and just kind of the organization as a whole. You start talking to people, asking questions, getting information. And, the more we kept talking about it, the more people we talked to about it, the more information we got, it just made more and more sense for us to make this move.
What do you think, Chris, when you hear Chris Sale, 4th starter? Man, how you have fallen from the days of being an ace. Chris Sale,
this guy,
4th starter.
I can go out and suck and no one's going to hate me now.
That's a good point. That's very true. That is true.
Again, let's think of the positives here. When I first got to Boston, I think I was 3rd or 4th so it went Rick, DP. Yeah. I think 7 years later, I only fell one spot. That's not terrible.
That's good aging.
You're telling me. But you've seen the last few years. It's been great. So for me, I mean, you know me well enough now to where like I enjoy being a guy, and I love going out there and competing, and the most pressure packed situation, hand me the ball, I want it the whole 9. But at the end of the day, in terms of where I get slotted, where I'm pitching, who's pitching in front, who's pitching behind, what letter day of the week, what number day of the week, it doesn't matter. Hand me the ball, put some guys in the field behind me, and let's find a way to win. And if anything, it should be motivating.
First and foremost, you're a competitor. Nobody's going to ever deny that, whether you're breaking TVs or you're striking the last guy out for the World Series. Like, you're a competitor, and it shows. But all that's talked about in the last, 4 years, injuries, he's not kind of really pitching up to his standard. Is that something, because they talk about that with pitchers all the time, and it will be talked about for the rest of time. Shohei Ohtani's second Tommy John, all this stuff. To me, I think it's a bad narrative. What's going through your mind as a pitcher in that sense? Because I know when you're 18 years old, you drive your car as fast as you possibly can. I'm 43 now. You know what? I know what happens if you drive your car as fast as you can. You are driving your really fast sports car in your left arm. Do you ever think about it? Do you ever, or not ever think about it? How does that go through your mind, hearing all the negative going on with pitchers and injuries and stuff?
Well, one, I've done this long enough to know that that's just kind of the nature of the beast, right? It comes with the territory, and you have to be honest with yourself. These people aren't saying this for no reason. Like I'd like to think I've been very open and very honest about the last few years and what it's actually been and what my mindset has been like, and how just terrible I felt that I wasn't able to live up to that. But on the flip side of that, I know that 2019 didn't end well. 2020 was a disaster. I missed the whole year with Tommy John. 21 was coming back from Tommy John. 22. Basically after 21, those are big injuries. I understand I had elbow surgery and I had to come back from that. But after 21, it was just these really random, ticky-tacky, just weird offset, just injuries. I come back in 22, or we had the lockout. I'm working out in the off season of 22 and fracture a rib. Come back from that, make a start. Start was decent. Make my second start. In the first inning of that second start, walk off the field with the left blinker hanging off. And then the wrist injury after that. And then last year, had 3 really just terrible starts at the beginning of the year, 3 or 4 terrible starts, kind of got into a groove. And then again, just kind of a weird shoulder injury that you don't see a whole lot. And then was able to finish the year on a relatively strong, good note. So I haven't really been able to have a real good off season in a long time. I've been able to play long toss. I've been off the mound. I've played more long toss this off season than I have since 2018. I've thrown off the mound more this off season than I have since 2018. So this is really my first feel good, like full send push all my chips in and actually have a really good chance of, being in a good spot for the season for the first time in a long time. So that's kind of where my mindset is. I understand I can't change what's happened over the last 5 years, and I understand because of what's happened over the last few years, people are going to think a certain way. The only thing I can really do is go out there and do my job and stay healthy and do my job to the best of my ability. And however that works out, it works out. But I'm as excited as I've been in a very long time, just because I feel like I've been doing things I haven't done in a long time. So that's exciting.
Have you stayed off the bike this winter?
No, I got kids, man. I had to kick that. They tell you when you fall off a bike, you got to get back on and ride it. It took me a little while to get back on one, but I'm back. I think what I should do is just look like the super noob, helmet, elbow pads, knee guards. Just go for that really embarrassing look because I've earned that.
All right. Would you consider your time in Boston a success? I know you were injured for the last few years, but would you consider a success? Because guess what? You won the ultimate prize. You weren't going to do it in Chicago. Yeah. You got traded there, and you won a World Series. So I would consider a success. And
Agreed.
Plus, you got rich as fuck while you were there.
I guess in short, why I really don't want to answer this question, to be totally honest with you, but I will. So, in my mind, no, it was not. Because of a couple reasons. I only had one full healthy season there, which I was there for 7 years. I only pitched tip to tip one time in 2017. And that was actually the best year of my career from like a stat standpoint. 2018 was probably close to, if not the second best year of my career. Missed some time, but had a great year, and we did end up winning the World Series. You talk about the contract. I didn't do anything post contract, which bothers me. If we would have won the World Series after I signed that contract, I'd have felt maybe a little bit better. But I got traded there. We win a World Series. They obviously make a big commitment to me and kind of reward me for having 2 good years and bringing a championship to that city. Hey, we're going all in on you. We've done our end of the bargain. Here's 5 years. Here's, a big contract. Now you get to go keep doing what you're doing, because they saw those 2 previous years, and that's kind of what they thought they were going to sign, what they had signed up for 5 more years. And it wasn't. So again, it was the best years of my baseball career were in Boston, but also the worst years of my career were in Boston. And if those worst years weren't, just to be completely honest, so fucking expensive, it's a kick, it's a gut punch. It's not a fun thing that I'll be able to look back on and remember about my life and my career. But I learned a lot from it. I'd like to think, you can take some good with bad and roll with the punches. So it's a mixed bag, but overall, I guess in short answer, if it was one word, I would say no.
You a Hall of Famer? And if
Absolutely not.
And if not, could you turn it around in the next 2 years and then get another 3rd year and you play to 37, 38?
No, again, the Hall of Fame critics are very, very tough, and this is even a weird thing for me to even talk about, to be completely honest. But I just think that I would have to pitch like I pitched in my prime for 5 more years and mix in a couple more either team trophies or personal trophies. And I just don't think I have 5 more years left in me. I would love to play for, 3 years, maybe 4 years, something like that. But I think a lot would have, because I hold put it this way, if Mark Burley is not a Hall of Famer, I'm not a Hall of Famer. He's ahead of me on that list by far, and if he's not even like relatively close, then that makes me look at myself and think I'm even farther away. So, but those are things for me. That's not why I'm here. It's cool to talk about, but again, it's like a weird thing to talk about for me. But no. Short answer, no.
Hey, why can't you pitch 5 more years? You're yoked. I mean, look at here. Look, we have a picture I want to show. This is 2012. So this was you in 2012. Look at you.
Dude, he's filling out that shirt right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Not that one.
So that was back when.
I think I might actually still have those pants.
You should.
Because that was the loudmouth trip that Robin set up.
It was.
That is epic.
Is that Alexis Rios or is that Alex Rios?
That is Rios right there.
It is Alex Rios.
You can see John. I think that might be John with his Walmart backpack.
Probably, yeah.
Just 60 million in. Rocking the JanSport. Respect that.
That's John Danks, by the way. He's talking about.
Oh, come on.
Hey, I mean, you're Jack now, dude. I mean, he must be up to about 170.
You want to know something? That the picture you're looking at right now of me, just looking sensual. I am probably 165 pounds in that picture, 170 maybe. That was what, 2012? So I was probably like 170, 175. So I'm like 15 pounds heavier than that.
Like 15, or you are 15? Like, let's get it straight.
So I hovered during the season 185 to like 190. I got up to 197 last year, but I kind of like fighting weight to be running around 190ish, 185 to 190. So yeah, 10 to 15 pounds more than that picture.
Was AJ a jerk when you first came up? Don't give me the. He was a great.
I'm not telling him what to say.
He was a great, veteran. He taught me so much, and he didn't. Was he a jerk? Was he a jerk that was like salty, kind of like, look what I've done? And does he ever?
No. I will say this. Yes, he was an asshole. They through and through. I
admit that. I've never denied that.
No, but yeah, no, he was never a guy that was look at what I've done or look at what I'm doing. I will say this. I through your career, like, talk about Hall of Famers. Like, what do you think you're a Hall of Famer or close?
No, because I only got 2 votes. So if you can beat me, I got 2 votes. So if you can beat my 2, then you're better than me.
Voters hate catchers.
Voters hate catchers, and they also hate, catchers that are like, you have a lot of statistics where you're like top 10 all time in certain statistics. They hate that.
They don't like that.
No.
I play every day.
That was going to be my defense for you is you can be an asshole. You can be tough. You can be a jerk, whatever you want to say. But when you're going out there every day, I think I've spent more months. I probably spent more years on the DL than you had days on it. So that was very impressive. And I remember the first time you ever went on it. I guess it's the IL now. Sorry, but it was the DL then. So the first time I guess you ever went on the IL, you had a broken thumb, right?
Wrist, yeah.
And it was in Chicago, and you messed it up, and you're like, "Hey, I think I did something to my thumb." Went out and caught another inning and was like, yeah, something's definitely wrong. And it ended up being like a broken thumb. We're like, how the hell did you even go back out there for that second inning? So
I went out, broke my wrist. Broke my right here.
Your wrist?
Right here. Broke this bone in your wrist right here. Whatever, radius, ulna, whatever, one of them.
Yeah.
And was hitting. Got Bruce Chen, all 82 of them, hit me right in the spot. Broke my wrist.
Blew him up.
Yeah, true story. Check swing, hit me, and went caught the next inning, and Ozzy's like, how are you? And I go, I'm up. I can't swing a bat. And they're like, it's just bruised. And Herm Schneider, our old trainer, Sailor knows. He's like, just contrast it. Hot, cold. For like 2 days, I'm like, it's not getting any better. Maybe we should get x-rays? I don't know.
They didn't give you x-rays right away?
No. And then I went and got x-rays and broken bone, broken wrist. And they're like, all right, well, you're done for the year. And I'm like, whoa. This is like mid-August. I'm like, whoa, let's take a deep breath here. Second opinion. Guy's like, well, you don't need surgery, but I don't know how long. He's like, pain management. I was like, all right, fuck it. 2 weeks later.
I don't think you came back and played.
Oh, I played the last month with a broken wrist. Oh, hell yeah, I did. I was like, yep. Yeah. I was like, every ball I caught was like crying, like, ooh.
Hey,
it
so
wasn't.
were we.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. I wasn't catching yours. I was chasing them. I wanted to. Well, okay. So I have to ask you two questions. One, I obviously saw the White Sox. They're so good now. Thoughts on Chris Getz taking over? And they're never going to trade for you. You're too expensive, so you can say whatever you want. And then, second of all, do you remember your debut? Obviously, you do.
In Baltimore.
And who did you face?
I faced the first guy I faced was Brian Roberts, and I had 4-pitch walk, and then I faced Nick Markakis, got him 0-2, and then gave up a base hit. Man on first and second. Ozzie came and got me. Tony Pena came in relief.
Tony Pena.
Not that Tony Pena either.
No, his son.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all I remember about that is he was drafted that year. Sale was drafted that year, okay? And like June. And then in like August, they're like, hey, we're calling up our first round pick. And I'm like, who? And they're like, Sale. And I'm like, the kid from FGCU that we just drafted? They're like, yeah, he's ready. I was like, okay. So they're like, and he's going to be here today. Well, he got there like around game time. So like there was no like, hey, how you doing? Like, it's like the 5th inning. They're like, Sale's coming in. And I'm like, who? And they're like, no, Chris Sale. And I'm like, what's he got? And they're like, oh, let's find out together. Here he comes, all 130 pounds comes gang. I'm like, what do you got? He's like, fastball, slider, changeup. And I'm like, all right, let's see. And like the warm-ups were kind of all over the place as you would expect for a guy, right? And I'm like, well, fuck, what do I call? And he walked Brian Roberts on 4 pitches. I'm like, shit, now he's going to steal. And the one mistake I still regret to this day is we didn't throw Markakis a slider. If I would have known you had that slider, we could have thrown him a slider and probably punched him out. We threw all heaters.
I had that slider at that time in my life.
We threw all heaters. I didn't know. We threw all heaters, and Markakis got a hit, and out came Ozzie to take him out. Phone call, rookie mistake.
There he is. He's back.
But yeah, I never. That was the one thing I look back on his career, and I'm like, damn, if we just would have thrown a slider, he might have been an all-star closer. Let me
tell you one thing. If I can look back on my career and my biggest regret is not throwing Nick Markakis a slider in my first ever appearance, we're living good. Funny story about that too, because I was the rookie and I had to carry obviously the backpack with all the goodies in it, snacks and gum and seeds and all that stuff. I had to carry the coffee pot, right? And I've never seen a coffee pot like the long cylinder one, and you know how it has like that little thing on the top that you push down and it like squirts the coffee out. Well, I didn't know that's how you got the coffee out. So my major league debut, I'm in the bullpen in Baltimore, gray uniforms on, and I put the coffee pot down. I'm like, what the hell is this lever doing? So I push the lever. Coffee is all over the front of my uniform. This is my 3rd day in the big leagues. I have yet to make an appearance. And so I'm like, I'm full panic mode. I have coffee all over the front of my jersey. So I'm like frantically wiping it off. I don't have time or enough service time to go back to the dugout to change my jersey. And so, yeah, I made my major league debut with coffee on the front, and the bullpen guys made me put some hot stuff on my body, and that was the first time I ever put that anywhere, and it was highly, highly uncomfortable.
What part of your body?
That's good.
That part.
Yeah. We've had a few of those.
And you remember how that was applied, too. I think you were there in the training room.
No, I didn't go in the training room. I wasn't allowed. Another phone call.
He's popular.
Yes, I wasn't allowed in the training room. Herm kicked me out of the training room. But I went in there once, and that was more than enough.
Yeah, it was fun, but yeah. So that's my coffee splattered hot rub non-slider throwing major league debut.
Literal cup of coffee.
Yeah. He did okay after that. He's got more than a cup of coffee now. He's got a whole Starbucks or two.
The White Sox miss you too.
Yes. But by the way, people forget you were a closer for a while.
Yeah, I was out in the bullpen. I got a few saves under my belt.
Do you remember the game? Okay, I don't know. No one knows. I don't think anyone. Do you remember the game in Seattle you're pitching? And Don Cooper, our pitching coach, comes in and he goes, okay, listen, We're worried about Sale's arm. He's only allowed to throw 25 sliders this game. And I go, how the fuck am I going to keep track of that? And so literally I had sunflower seeds in my back pocket.
Stop.
And every time we throw a slider, I would take one out. Because I was like, if I get to 25,
wow,
then I can't call slider. And Seattle couldn't hit his slider to save their life. And I'm like, well, shit, we're out of sliders. What do we throw? I'm like, I'm out of sunflower seeds. What do we throw?
It's a dumb rule. As if he threw 2 more, it would make a difference.
That was what I was told.
It's just a dumb rule.
It was also the other great sales story is we're playing the Yankees, okay, and Derek Jeter's leading off. And the first 2 nights he hit fucking piss missiles off whoever's pitching. So he's 2 for 2.
Oh my God! Yes.
He knows this story. And I come into the pitchers meeting, and Robin Ventura is our manager, and he goes, "Hey, first pitch slider to Derek Jeter." And I said, "You know who's pitching for us today, right?" And he goes, "Sale." And I go, "He ain't gonna do it." And he's like, "What do you mean he ain't gonna do it?" I go, "He ain't gonna do it." And he goes, "No, he'll do it. I'll tell him." I go, "You tell him because I ain't telling him." He goes, No, you got this. You got this. I said, "Okay." He goes, "Why don't you think he'll do it?" And I go, "Because he's going to think he looks like the biggest pussy in the world." And Robin's like, "Nah, just tell him I said it." I said, "Okay." So, Sal, you remember I went up to you and we're doing our meeting and I was like, "Hey, by the way, I just want you to know Robin wants you to throw a slider." He's like, "Fuck that. I ain't throwing no fucking slider first pitch. I look like the biggest pussy in the world. Fuck him." And I'm like, I'm just telling you, I'm going to put down slider. You shake it. He's like, "Okay." So first pitch, slider. Nope. Slider. Nope. And I went, and I look over and I go, slider. And I went, in my head, I'm like, "Don't forget." And he throws the slider like in the dirt for a ball, right?
I threw it in the left-handed batter's
I mean, he threw it like so far.
I remember Robin told me before that game, he goes, if you don't throw this slider, I'm coming to get you. So I'm like, all right. So I can either throw 1 fastball in this entire game against the Yankees, or I can just throw a BS slider out there and then we got it out of the way and then go. But yeah, I do remember that. And I think I've only ever done it one other time. And I think I threw a first pitch of the game, change up to Altuve, and he flew out through the warning track. So didn't catch him off guard.
Yeah, Jeter ended up getting a hit next pitch because he threw a fastball and he got a hit. It was only a single. So but then I remember, so then Kratz, you know how this goes as a catcher.
Oh, yeah.
Then I come back in the dugout, okay? And Robin is pissed. Like, he is pissed. I'm like, "What's the problem?" He's like, "Why?" He goes, "I know you threw a slider first pitch, but you showed me up doing it." And I'm like, "Robin, I called slider 3 times. He shook me off twice. I had to remind him you were calling it to throw it." And he's like, "Well, that's bullshit. You're showing me up." I'm like, "Hey, you should have made him do it. I tried." He's like, stormed
He's the
off.
skipper. That's his job.
I know, but I was like, Sale is not going to do that no matter what.
That's why everyone thinks you're an asshole. Robin Ventura put you as the freaking bad guy. He's like, "Hey, bad cop, go ahead."
Yeah. I mean, he had Mark Parent, who was a real asshole.
Oh, Bernie was the best, though. He was the best.
Except if he sat on you on a plane and broke the seat every flight.
Yeah.
He was so fat he'd lean back and the seat would break every time, right in my lap.
That's a big boy.
Oh,
That's your fault for
yeah, he
surviving.
was.
I was in the last row.
Find a different row.
Oh,
Why are there coaches in the back of the plane?
Because he thought he was a player and he'd come back there and sit and drink Coors Light.
He'd come back and hang out a little bit. That was actually funny too. My first plane flight, I walk on the plane. I'm like, okay, everybody on normal planes hates sitting in the way back, right? So I'm a young guy. I get on the plane, I beeline it. I sit in the very last row, the very last seat. Burley comes up to me. He's like, "Hey man, this is my seat, man. You got to get up." So I forget who it was. It might have been AJ. Somebody was like, "Hey, go sit in seat number like whatever it was." So I'm like, "All right, thank God, dodged the bullet. They're helping me out." And it was Paulie's seat. So Paulie comes up. He's like, "Hey man, this is my seat. You gotta go." And I think I forget who it was. Someone was like, "Hey man, just get on the plane last and sit in whatever seat's open." And yeah, so that was I had a couple of very eventful firsts.
But you know what? He handled everything well. Never got mad. Never he understood. Like, the guys who get mad are the ones that just make it worse. Like, if you just laugh about it, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I screwed up." Okay, cool, we can deal with that. But yeah, man. I mean, listen,
when you get dressed up like SpongeBob, just sing the theme song.
That changes you.
That's right. It changes your life forever.
It humbles you.
No doubt.
Well,
no doubt.
Well, Chris, it was awesome catching up with you. Make sure you answer AJ's text so you can tell him F you so he doesn't talk shit about you anymore, please. Crush it this offseason.
I
We'd
can
love
do
to have you
everything
back,
right.
obviously.
You know that's still going to happen.
We'll get you in spring training or something, all right? Enjoy the last
Sounds good,
month
guys.
or so. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, so hi to the family.
Will do. See you guys.